Alrighty, welcome folks. SteadyGainz here. Just want to do a quick little recap video for Friday, the June 18th trading session that we had. And basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is going over the plays that I had alerted in the Discord. I will also be going over some of the plays that I took myself, but I did not alert. And then we'll go over some other stuff as well while we're at it. So that's basically the agenda for this video. Please bear with me. I am not the most technical person in terms of with video editing and all that fancy stuff. So basically, you guys are just going to be getting a raw video. Um, and yeah, this is my first YouTube video, so just bear with me on this one, guys. I will do my best to improve these videos with your guys' suggestions and whatever I think would be better over time. So we're going to go ahead and start with the alerts from Friday in order. So first things first, the first alert that I had given in the morning was SPCE. The reason I had given this alert was I was watching it in pre-market. I had watched it on the previous day, Thursday, and it had a nice strong close on Thursday. So the breakout level that I was looking for SPCE was 37.37, which is right about here. And I was basing that off of this candle over here, these two candles over here, and the pre-market, or sorry, the power hour, the last few minutes of the market close on Thursday. So what happened was this trade, usually we wait a couple of minutes before we, go into any plays in the market, let the trend establish itself, figure out which direction we're going to be going in. So I had entered an alert for, I don't remember what calls exactly, but they were alerted at 0.09, so $9 a contract. It was alerted as a very high risk play and a very small entry alert. So I had alerted it around here, I believe, on this candle, and I had averaged around here because I mean at the moment, at that time, the candles were green. MACD was pointing straight up, RSI was pointing straight up, but it did not end up going, and we ended up selling it for $7 a contract, or a 12.5 to 13% loss. So this was a very high risk play because we typically want to wait for the trend to establish itself. Hence, putting very high risk in the alerts, and hence taking the small entry. So at least we were able to control the size, and we ended up taking a small loss on this play. Um, Now, this could um, this could have gone the other way. It could have obviously, just continued on, and it would have been a different story. But the important thing is that something that Snorlax has mentioned so many times, and I like to preach this as well, is that we can't really control how much we win in terms of our win percentage, but we can control how much we lose. And this was a good example of, getting into a play in anticipation for a breakout because a certain level broke, and, controlling the play and not letting ourselves get too destroyed in the play. Because it could have gone, as you guys can see, it could have gone really bad. I could have also averaged again, and this would have been a very, very high risk if I had done that here. And tried to get out around here. But who knows if, I would have been able to do that in that moment in time, which is why I just said, cut it. Let's move on and find the next one. And so we did do that. We did find the next one, which was Pendua Dua. I'm going to make this a single chart so it's a little bit easier to follow along with. So going back to, what was it, the 18th? On this one, I was able to highlight a little bit better in terms of our entry and whatnot. So Pinduoduo was also on my watch list, and I'd woken up a little bit early, seeing how it done, saw that it liked to test this level up here, 127.24 in pre-market. Obviously, I take whatever happens in pre-market and after hours with a grain of salt. I don't really count those in terms of if it breaks something, unless it's like a super hard break. You're gonna have to give or take with that, and learn over time which stocks pre-market and after hours certain levels matter for and which ones they don't. But anyways, Pinduoduo had a nice strong close on Thursday, created a new high that day, and closed above this important resistance line that it was attempting to close above, sorry, which is 125.79. So this play was given a little bit more time in terms of our entry. We didn't enter at the first candle. I saw that, okay, it came down to the 150 MA here. I was also taking a look at the 15 minute at the same time. And I noticed on the 15 minute, once that red candle in the 5 minute had established itself and we had moved on to the second candle, that our MACD was still curling upwards or not coming down in a sense, and our RSI was still in the air. Also, this was an important level. Now, I had to make sure that I didn't get clapped. I knew it wasn't going to be too hard of a push because of the way that the 30 minute was looking as well. The MACD was actually curling down on the 30 minute, RSI was going up. So I knew this one was going to be a scalp. So I alerted an entry for Pinduoduo. This one was also a high risk play, not as high risk as SPCE because we did wait a couple minutes. Um, and so I gave the alert for entering 126 calls, around 132 per contract here. And I alerted some scaling some out around here because this was a key resistance level that we were looking for Pinduoduo to break, which it could have rejected. So I scaled some around here for 90%. And then the couple of runners that I alerted to hold, I sold those around here for 105 to 110%, which was a great exit because as soon as we exited, yes, it did create a little bit more high. But then the RSI MACD started to curl downwards in terms of on the larger time frames. Let's go over and take a look at those. Um, the 30 minute that I was mentioning earlier, there was no change in RSI, I mean MACD trying to make its attempt to go upwards or the RSI as well. Now, something that I was also watching was just to take a look at how it was planning on doing on a larger time frame was the 4 hour. Um, Obviously, the 4 hour, it wasn't too important during a scalp, but I had also alerted a swing later on, which is why I was looking at the 4 hour, and I'll go over that one in a second. So when we were the second alert that we had done for Pinduoduo, now this one was not right away. We had some plays that we were doing in this time period, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this play because we're already on the chart. So Pinduoduo's swing was alerted around here. This was alerted as a high risk swing, and I alerted an entry point. I was trying to get a MA9 MA9 bounce on the 15 minute. I was trying to see if we could get a nice MA9 bounce on it. And in case it broke, I was going to most likely average around this level again. So what ended up happening was it ended up breaking down on the MA50 on the daily, I mean on the 5 minute. So this was our entry. It broke down from there, and I wanted to see if it was going to stay around this area. So since this was a swing, I wasn't really paying attention to the 5 minute. I was looking more on the 15 minute in order to see if it was going to maintain around this area, and there was no indication that it was. The RSI was going straight down. The MACD had some large selling pressure, as we can see with this red highlighted area over here. Um, and our MACD was also pointing to the ground. And as you can see, it ended up breaking that resistance level. So my next area was, and I'm sorry that my lines are gone. I really thought they were going to stay over here, but I was looking for the next support line to see how it would hold up. And that support was around here, this area, 124.46. And around there, as you can see with the yellow arrow, which is the buy areas, I had averaged again. And keep in mind, the market was dumping very hard at this time. We had a lot of volatility on Friday. It was quad witching and it was the SPY rebalancing happening. Um, so I alerted another average over here. The calls that we were playing were July 2nd calls, so we had some time on the contracts, and there were 127 calls, so they were not too far out of the money. So the initial entry was for $428, and since they were far out, they didn't get hit that hard. Um, around here is when I did the average, and it was minus 16 to minus 18% per contract. And then when I added the average over here, it ended up being, half of that, which was minus 9 to minus like 8%. So what happened later on was when the market started to, balance itself a little bit and not go too volatile, and volatility lowered, and we were trying to, so I believe it was lunchtime, so things slowed down a little bit. um Pinduoduo ended up coming back up through this green line that you see over here. This is my 200 MA, and this line is the 50 MA. So, like I said, for the swing, I was paying more attention to the 15-minute chart here, and I noticed that we were bouncing off of these supports from that 124 area I mentioned earlier, and we were having a nice small little recovery to come back and test that 125 resistance area. So I wasn't too confident in this play in terms of holding the swing far out. I didn't want to swing over the weekend too much. And like I mentioned, the 4 hour did not really look that good. The daily did not really look the best on this. That was a key area, we needed to break up towards or break out through, and it had not done that. And it was too close to this resistance, I mean, sorry, this trend line that it was following, and also that the MACD just did not look good on the daily, did not look good on the 4 hour, which was, sorry, it was around here, and the 1 hour as well did not look the best. Um, so for the swing, what ended up happening was I decided to take some profits around here because we had averaged. And I believe I sold like majority of my position and held one contract as a runner in case Pinduoduo decided to continue going. And I ended up scaling the rest out around here for 7 to 9%. For this was 5 to 6%. It's because we averaged. I decided I might as well scale some out. I didn't want to be in too heavy, and then I scaled some out around here as well. And I actually ended up holding one to swing, which ended up closing down 3.26% for the day. Um, so that was the Pinduoduo scalp. Not a bad scalp, 110 percenter, and then followed by a small 7, 8, or depending on your entry, 5 to like 8% play for that one. The next play that was alerted, in terms of going in order, was SPLK for a scalp. Let's go back to the 18th on this one as well. It was around here. So SPLK I had on my watch list as well. I was watching very carefully for this one to see how it was going to play out for the day. And SPLK was respecting the MA9 here. As we can see, this red line that I have is the MA9. It was respecting it for majority of the day. And also on the 15 minute, it was a much clearer indication of, it was using it as a support area. So uh, let me see. What else did we have? We also had RSI showing a nice upward momentum on the 15, and on the 5 minute. Let me go back to that day. Sorry, it keeps adjusting. On the 5 minute, the MACD was also curling up nicely, and the RSI was also curling up nicely. So I had indicated a Oh, also, we had broken a key resistance of 127.73, which was a very important area to watch for SPCE to see a nice run on, or SPLK, sorry. So I had alerted 127 calls for June 25th. Um, I believe I believe it was around here, which was the MACD test. I mean, sorry, the VWAP test that it was having. In voice response as well, I had mentioned that guys, SPLK had a nice little run, and it's coming back to test VWAP. High chances of a bounce from here. And let's go ahead and turn on the volume over here just to see that, what type of buying volume we had coming in. I don't know why my volume's looking like that. Usually it's more out. Um, But anyways, so around VWAP, this was a medium risk play. I'd alerted the 127 calls at 255, and then I ended up scaling some out for 11 to 12% around here. And then I ended up scaling some more out around here for 20%, 15 to 20%. If you held this a little bit longer, this contract did print a little bit more because we did not do same days. And we went out for next week, it didn't print as lucratively as a same day contract would have. That's why, if we had done same days, this probably would have been, I would say, anywhere from 60 to a 90% bounce, depending on what contracts you had grabbed. But we wanted to be a little bit safer. So we ended up doing next week, June 25th contracts, and we were able to catch a nice anywhere from 11 to 20% depending on your entry and depending on how you scaled out, or 30% if you ended up holding it a little bit longer. I still think that, it was not a bad play at all. Um, in terms of a scalp, it ended up paying nicely. Let me see if I can go back to June 18th here real quick and see the 30 minutes. Also, on the 30 minute, another thing that was clear to me, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, was remember how I was talking about on the 5 and 15 minute, how it was respecting the MA9. It also respected the MA9 on the 30 minute, and it didn't look like it wanted to break that trend with the MACD and RSI on the 15 and the 30 minute and the 5 minute. So I ended up entering that, and that's why it was a more of a medium risk play, not a really a high risk play. If we had done same day contracts, yes, the risk would have been high, but not as high as the play like Bendua that we did, or sorry, SPCE that we did in the morning. That was probably the riskiest play as of right now in this review. So that was another profit play. So far we had about two wins, which 105, 110%, and then a nice like 15 or whatever percent, depending on your entry and whatnot. So next up we had Riot. Um, I had alerted Riot puts as well. So when I had Riot's chart up, and typically when I have my charts up for the day, it's something like this. I have about six charts up on one screen, six charts up on another screen, and then, a couple of other charts up on another screen that I'm looking at or that I'm in place for. So Riot had made a clear downtrend on the 5 minute, rejected the 200 MA and the 150 MA over here. Nice big fat candle down. MACD pointing straight to the ground, RSI pointing even straighter to the ground. And if we go over here and we look at the 15 minute, the 15 minute was even worse. It was just two fat red candles down. MACD was also into the ground. So I had alerted. Let me go back and grab that up real quick. Sorry. So this was, the risk was not that high for this play. There was no clear indication of a reversal. It was actually riding the MA9 down. So in the previous play, SPLK, we had the MA9 acting as a support, but in this, the MA9 is acting as a resistance since the stock was below it. Um, and also Bitcoin was, for those that don't know, Riot is essentially attached to Bitcoin in terms of the movement of the stock goes with Bitcoin's movement. So Bitcoin was going down at the moment, and there was a clear, with the technicals on Riot, a clear downtrend indication. So I had alerted Riot 33 puts for $42 around here. I was not anticipating that Riot would have a reversal because on the 15 minute, it looked terrible. On the 5 minute, no MACD reversal indication, no RSI reversal indication. That's barely a blimp. I wouldn't even like consider that, um, a reversal or attempt at a reversal. And then we also have this red shaded in the MACD, meaning high selling pressure. And rejection of the MA9, rejection of this is the MA20 I have, and then the VWAP is the dotted line that I have. Um, and it played out perfectly. I ended up grabbing it, alerting it around here um, for everybody for 33 puts at $42 a piece, and I sold them all around 10:15. to 1020 for 26%. And it was a great play. Um, Ended up paying nicely. Now, I did not end up watching Riot for the rest of the day. And if we do look at Riot, I'm just going to end up saying this because, I just have it up. It could have been a great re-entry. As we see here on the MA50, Riot, when it did break the MA9 upwards and it started breaking that trend, we did have signs of a reversal, and it did reverse and ended up rejecting the MA50. And you can see over here the MACD started slowing down in terms of its curl. The RSI was trying to point down again. We go ahead and we look at the 15 minute for June 18th, right here. Also, no sign of a reversal. Rejection of the MA20 on the 15 minute, and no signs of reversal, clear selling pressure, clear RSI down indicator. So we could have re-entered these and they could have printed again, but I did not end up watching it for the rest of the day. So that's just something else you could have done if you really wanted to. It would have been another low risk play because, a small bear flag, clear downtrend, clear rejection on important MAs and important resistance lines, and MACD was also clear on display. So you could have redone that one. Up next, alerted was HD. So far we had three winners out of the four things alerted, and SPCE was a small loss, so our winners did much better than our losses. So Home Depot, oh man, I love this play. This was one of my favorite plays that we ended up doing Friday, just because of the sheer amount of printage and the excitement that this play had brought. So Home Depot has had some really weird, strong movements. So the day before, I had seen that Home Depot did this thing where it came down to test this little trend line that I have drawn based off of the daily um, over here and based off of the 4 hour. Dang it, zero moved my lines a little bit, but that's okay. Um, and every single time that Home Depot had attempted to touch that line, there were some strong bounces, especially the day before. And also there was a strong support for Home Depot at 298.44. So I wanted to see if this play would retest. It looked like we were having a nice accumulation zone here. MACD was actually looking very beautiful, and this was a strong support as mentioned. So the chance that it was going to break the support was not very high. Now the market was acting a little weird. Market was dumping, and it was a volatile day. It was a risky day, so automatically the risk went higher for the play because of the day. Um, but in terms of looking at the percent chance of this bouncing here, it was relatively high. You had the MACD curling upwards, you had the RSI looking good, you had that strong support line over there. Going over to the 15 minute, our 15-minute RSI looked good. 15-minute MACD was a little bit iffy, I would say. Um, Looking back at it now. Are we on the 18th again? Yep. So this was a pure scalp play. I wasn't trying to swing it, so I wasn't really looking at the larger time frames. So I was just basing this play off of the 5 minute chart. Um, so this one printed very nicely. I had alerted calls for Home Depot around here once I had seen a confirmation of a bounce on that strong support line. I think actually I alerted them around here once we had broken up on the MA9 because it was rejecting the MA9 for a little bit. And once I had gotten that confirmation of it, we had alerted it here. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, so MACD was pointing up, volume and RSI curled hard, and volume came in out of nowhere. So this play ended up printing very hard around here. I scaled some out for 40 to 42%. Um, I held two runners, and I ended up selling them around here for the 150 test. And these were the alerted plays. So the scale out was alerted here, and the scale out was alerted here. Um, The two runners. Oh, sorry. Actually, I'm going back and looking at my notes. I had actually scaled some out around here. So yes, the entry was alerted around here, and I had scaled some around here for 40 to 42%, and then I had scaled some more around here for 82%, which was also alerted. And then the two runners that I held, I sold those around here. And the reason that I sold around here was because we have the 50 MA here, so there was a possible chance that we could have rejected it, so I wanted to scale it out. RSI was also in the air, so I wanted to sell some of that and scale some out, reduce some risk. And the two runners that I ended up holding, I ended up selling here for the 150 MA resistance for 129%, which was also alerted. Now, it was also alerted that you could have held these contracts if you wanted to. I just wanted to secure my profits, it being a Friday, it being, an extremely volatile day with quad witching and with the SPY rebalance. I just was not willing to take any risks. And so the market was actually dumping around this time, and Home Depot was holding up very, very strongly. So remember how previously I was mentioning it was rejecting its MA9 and using that as a resistance? It started using it as a support line. And then once it broke that, it started using the MA20 as a support line. So if you ended up holding these contracts, they hit 140 to 150% towards the end of the day. Um, so this ended up being a very, very good scalp. And I had also alerted swings for Home Depot around here, and we ended up, or I don't even know where I alerted them because I don't have this really written in my notes. I wasn't really going to talk about that. But we did have swings that were alerted sometime throughout the day that we held, and they printed today, um, on Monday today. So just that one as well. So that was another play alerted. So out of the one, two, three, four, five, six plays so far, five had hit for profits, and we had an 105, 110%, 100 and like another 100%er, and then like a small 20 something percenter, and like another small 15 to 20%er. So not a bad day at all. The day was going very well. The alerts were on point for that day. So the next play that I alerted, now this one was a very high risk play. I was not really basing this play off of the MACD at all because the MACD just looked like shit. This was a pure support, I mean, a resistance rejection, almost guaranteed play. So cat as you guys know, RPS likes to play puts on this one. I had watched it throughout the day, see that it rejected the 200 MA, and it was trying to curl up to touch the 200 MA again. I alerted a small entry here. This one was obviously very risky. Looked like it wanted to test the 200 MA on the 5 minute, had a small RSI push, had a very small MACD curl up. So I was like, all right, we'll go in. Entry was around here, risk was very high, so I didn't go in too heavy. Exit was alerted around here for 22 to 22%. And that was a great exit because it ended up tanking after. So well done on that play, guys. If you guys had followed through on that one as well, it ended up paying very nicely. Um, so with that, those were the alerts for Friday. That was basically one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Sorry, six of those were scalps. Out of the six scalps, five had printed, five were wins for a high win percentage. And by managing the small loss that we had on SPCE with the small size as well as the small percent loss, we were able to come out very heavily in profits for the day based off of the alerts. Um, I'm not really gonna go over the swing alerts because this was mainly supposed to be just for the scalps, but I will at the end if I have some time. So now going over plays that I had done by myself that I had not alerted on Friday, and I'll just go over them so you guys can see what I was thinking when I was doing them. Um, was one of them ended up being Tesla. Um, I was watching Tesla. As you guys know, I watch Tesla almost every day. I like to keep my watch on it. And once I had seen that Tesla was curling up and it had a nice hard curl up on the MACD, and there was some volume coming in, we had some buying volume coming in. I had gone in for, I would say this was a relatively risky play. Um, so let's go back to the 18th. Sorry, over here. I was actually looking at the 15-minute for this one as well because for Tesla, I like to be safe. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I had watched this candle to see how this candle would uh, um, end up reacting in terms of comparison to the other candle. The previous candle. I wanted to see how hard of a push it was going to have. So when I looked at the 15-minute, the RSI and MACD were curling up hard, and Tesla broke out of its 50 MA here on the 15-minute, and we had the buying volume coming in, a lot of good buying volume. Um, Going back to the 5-minute, so I had entered that play around here, and then I had sold it around here for roughly, let me see, roughly 26 to 30% on that one. And I easily could have held that one, but again, the risk was very high. It was an expensive contract, and I wanted to secure profits since we were playing Fridays, or since I was playing Friday calls, and the day was just risky day in general. Another one that I played was Spotify. I really like watching Spotify as well. And just like the other things, Spotify had a very nice run up midday. And I had entered. This was a continuation play actually, because I had played Spotify the previous day. And I think I had alerted Spotify the previous day as well. Um, but anyways, this play I did not want to alert because it was very expensive and it was also, excuse me, too fast to alert. Because by the time I had seen it, it had already started breaking upwards over here. And I myself had entered over here. Um, oh, I had actually played Spotify in the morning as well. That was a very risky play. I don't recommend doing that, obviously, especially on huge, huge, huge contracts that are going to be very expensive and compared to your account size. You don't want to be taking that risk, especially on a Friday. So I actually played Spotify for 80% in the morning. And then my re-entry was around here. Um, and I was able to play the small bounce up till here, and I sold some here for 30 to 40%, and I held, or sorry, 43%, and then I held a runner and then sold that over here for about 50%. Um, Then I ended up having a bad entry over here because Spotify had made a nice high of day and it had broken the previous high from yesterday. So I wanted to see some continuation and I had entered calls again. And on that one, I ended up taking a 25% loss. Once it had broken through here, it was just a fast down candle that just ended up with the implied volatility of Friday contracts, making the contract my last runner. Or sorry, not my last runner, my new entry, which was a smaller entry. I will say that I did go much smaller because I had already printed from the earlier contracts. So once you do that, you don't really want to re-enter heavy because then you just give back all your gains. And then what was the point of having that great entry? You would just give back all your profits. Um, so the reentry was very small, and I took a 25% loss on that, which was perfectly fine because the rest printed very well on Spotify, the earlier plays. So that was my play for Spotify. And then, not last, but my favorite play, my baby, as you guys know, the guys in the server, I freaking love my Neo. I love Neo. My win percentage on Neo is very high for a reason. I've been watching Neo for so long. I very much believe in Neo as a long-term company, mainly because it is the only EV company in China that is backed by their government, and you don't really want to go against their government. And like you guys know, I have a lot of Neo shares in my stash account and my long-term account. And I just overall think that NIO is a good company to have in your portfolio. If you're going to have EV cars, one of the three Chinese ones, I would pick one of the three main Chinese ones, I would always pick NIO. So I ended up playing NIO in the morning. I had bought it over here on the 200 MA bounce, and I had actually gotten 110% on this play. I don't remember where I sold exactly. I'm assuming if it was 110%, it was around here. And this was a same day one. So again, this one was really fast. I didn't alert this one. It just happened. And I wasn't able to alert it fast enough. But I ended up having a really good exit as well because of this resistance point for Neo is a relatively high resistance point. And I ended up selling around here for 110%. This ended up being a great play. I had also swinged Neo calls or swung Neo calls, um, and these were also alerted the day before, and these ended up printing about. Let me go back and look real quick. These ended up printing 90 to 100% because I believe we had entered them around here. And I had alerted a sell on those around here as well. Um, then the other swings that we had, I had also alerted Apple swings the day before. Those ended up printing a nice 15 to 25%. And our Twitter swings ended up printing a nice 20%. Um, and then we also had I had also alerted now the day before on the 17th for a swing. Now I personally ended up cutting it and I alerted that I'm cutting it and you guys were safe to hold it. I just did not want to be swinging a lot of stuff into Friday. So if you ended up holding this, you ended up printing about 30 to 60% depending on your exit and your entry for that play. Um, and that basically about covers the recap for Friday. Now, one thing I will go over, because I think it's very important to go over your mistakes. As you guys saw, we had a lot of printers, a lot of printers, a lot of things printed very hard. The alerts printed very hard. The scalps that I did on the side and the swings that were alerted printed very hard. So it was a very good day. And one mistake that I made, one simple mistake, one very clear mistake that I had made took away about 80% of the profits that I had made on Friday. And I think it's very important to go over this trade because not only is it good to look at your mistakes, it's good for others to see when, a mistake has been made and how to manage a mistake as well. Um, so I was following one of our specialists that does a bunch of, I would say, quote unquote, crazy scalps. I love the specialist. The specialist has great plays. The specialist had actually taught me certain things when I had first gotten into the market. So their plays are generally very good. Um, but this one was just a very bad play. And when I looked back at it, I was just disappointed in myself. And yeah. Anyways, so I had taken an alert from zero to enter NVIDIA calls around here. My biggest mistake was not looking at the chart. MACD, straight curling down. RSI, on the floor, testing the MA50, going to the 15 minute. You got the same exact thing. No clear indication of a reversal coming, of an upward trend. MACD pointing straight down. RSI straight down into the ground. So I actually ended up making two mistakes on this one. Um, the first mistake going into this play. The second mistake was going in too heavy. Once it broke here and it tested view up, I should have just cut this play. I should have cut it, taken my losses, moved on to the next play. I actually ended up averaging, zero averaged as well, and it tanked. Now, what happened was I was able to cut NVIDIA around here once I saw it breaking all supports, but at that point I was in so heavy that even though I took an 18% loss, the amount that I had put in was so heavy that it took away about 80% of my profits for the day. So I had cut this play around here. I believe Zero ended up holding it, and I think Zero added more, and then ended up cutting it around here. But this was just an overall bad play, and I just wanted to show this to you guys to show you guys that, like, if you're having a good day, and you have made a lot of profits, you really need to know when to stop trading for the rest of the day, which was my plan originally, was to stop trading for the rest of the day. But we're all human. We got to make sure not to let our emotions get to us when trading. And I had actually used FOMO as an excuse to go in. I was like, all right, you know what? I believe in zero plays usually always hit. Whatever, I'll go in heavy a little bit. I was gambling. This was a pure gamble play. And it ended up taking away majority of my profits for the day. Um, so I just wanted to go over that and, show you guys that even we make mistakes. And this mistake ended up being an expensive one, a very expensive one. Thankfully, I was able to control the loss, but, just remember, guys, if you're going into a risky play, a very high risky play, go in small. Make sure you're looking at the charts. Make sure you're looking at the technicals. Make sure you take a look at everything. And if your gut tells you that the play is not a good play, don't take it. Move on. There's always going to be another play. There's always going to be another play the next day. There's always going to be another play the next day. The market is always here. Don't feel like you have to force a play in order to print. We had a good amount of profits for the day. No need to get greedy. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that for you guys, and that basically concludes this video. So for any people that are not in the Discord, feel free to join the Discord. The link is in our bio, and I will put it in the description of this video. Feel free to ask any comments or questions that you guys have in the comment section. And if you guys have any suggestions for the next videos, just let me know what I can do, and I will try to do my best to implement that in the next videos. And with that being said, hope everyone had a good trading day. Hope everyone has a good rest of their day, night, whenever you're watching this, and we will catch you guys next time. Deuces. Ah.